Hey everyone, it's Ben from Songwriters on Process. This week I have my interview with Sadler Vaden, who is the guitarist for Jason Isbell in the 400 unit. Before that, he was the guitarist in Driving and Crying. But he has a new solo album out. It is called Anybody Out There. It's his second solo album. It is fantastic. I'm listening to it a lot over the past couple of weeks. It's just a good guitar-driven rock album. There's a lot of Tom Petty influences. People have said that. Oasis, people have said. But I also hear Clapton, Joe Walsh, and a lot of great old-school guitar riffs. And I really like this album. He has a very redemptive quality to his songwriting. As he will tell you in the interview, as you'll read, he certainly can draw from a lot of dark things. He had a pretty tough upbringing, it sounds like. Lost both his parents by the time he was 21. Grew up with some pretty severe money problems, it sounds like. Saw the repo men come to take the family car. So he certainly has that well to draw from. But as he says, he can start there, but it doesn't like to end there. So his songs have a really redemptive, hopeful quality to them, which I like. And as he will also admit, he said he works for a pretty dark songwriter. So why write songs like that as well? We also talked a lot about the shower. Not about the showering habits, but about how the shower affects his songwriting process. I've heard that from other songwriters as well. They talk about how the shower is a great source of inspiration, whether it's the boredom or the rhythm of the water, but a lot of song ideas come to them in the shower. And what we discovered, though, was that he grew up on the beach. He grew up on the coast, I should say, the coast of South Carolina in North Myrtle Beach, and spent a lot of time swimming in the ocean. And got a lot of ideas there. So he lives in Nashville now, but as he told me, when he goes back home and he swims in the ocean, the ideas, the songwriting inspiration, the songwriting ideas just really come to him. So it's neat to talk about kind of where he gets those ideas. He is not a deliberate songwriter. He does not sit down with the express idea of, I'm going to write a song today. But when the time comes and the verse and the chorus and the music starts to come, he does sit down and, as he says, I think, punch in the clock. But he does not sit down and say, I'm going to write a song today. He prefers just for those ideas to come to him. So go check out the interview. The full text of it, or the edited version, is on songwritersonprocess.com. So check out that site. There's about 200 interviews with songwriters, all about the songwriting process on there as well. And see you back next week for another interview with another songwriter. Starting off about the writing, I guess, do you do much writing outside of songwriting? Whether it's journaling, whether it's doodling, whether it's anything. Are you doing any writing outside of songwriting? Just kind of, stay fresh as a writer.
Um, I do. It's rare that I do. It's actually something I keep telling myself I'm gonna start journaling.
Right.
But I'm gonna wait till I'm back on the road or on tour, because then every day is like a little more interesting than whatever. But like sometimes I will have the urge. Like I said, it's rare that I'll have the urge to just, I guess they call it brain drain, where you just are writing on a page and you're just writing whatever is coming to your mind. And I find that's good. I think I do that when I'm currently in the process of writing songs and say I'm not happy with anything my brain is coming up with, or I'm just not happy with any of the things I'm writing about.
Yeah.
I'll start to do that, and I feel like it sort of ignites that element that I like. So the answer is no, not really, but at times I do, and I do find that it helps. And I probably should do it more. But I guess I don't see myself as much of a I don't know. I'm a songwriter, but I don't see myself as much of a writer. I don't look at myself as like a writer.
Yeah.
Um,
I will say I can't sit here and tell you that most of the songwriters I've interviewed write every day. Some of them really don't at all. I mean, that's a lot of them draw. They may have other artistic kind of endeavors, but I don't. A lot of them say, I don't journal. It's a waste of time.
Well, I'm always jotting things. Little ideas down. So I think I'm always writing. I'm just not necessarily making a journal entry or trying to write poetry or write a story. About once or twice a year, though, I get these like screenplay type ideas. So, and I never, I always just like save the big idea in my brain and then that's it. But,
Right.
So I think I have a bit of that kind of writer mentality. But I think Neil Young said something about it. I think I read before, maybe I made it up, that like he doesn't really write a lot of things down. He's able to just remember it. So he sticks with lines that are memorable, that are easy to remember.
Yeah. I feel like that sounds familiar, that if it's not worth remembering, if you don't remember it, it's probably not worth it in the first place. I feel like I've heard a variation of that.
Didn't make that up completely then.
Yeah. So wait, these screenplays ideas, are they, I mean, is this where because also, again, a lot of songwriters tell me, yep, I'm going to sit down and write that novel when I get that time, right? Are these like, when you say screenplay ideas, are these maybe thematic elements for albums, or something you want to do entirely different?
No, they're totally like movies.
Oh, they are? Okay, literal movies. Okay. So screenwriting wasn't a metaphor for something else. It was an actual movie.
Yeah, like I've got one, like for years I've had this thing that's more like a comedy, and then like I had a dream on the tour bus a few months back where it was this total sci-fi thing. I woke up with this entire like outline.
Yeah.
In my head, I wish it was like a song, but maybe I could turn it into a song.
Yeah. Well, when do these ideas, you say you get these ideas and they come to you, you jot them down. Do you ever think about like, are those happening in certain places more than others? Maybe when you hear people, you might read a billboard or anything like that. Like, are they coming to you at kind of certain times?
I haven't noticed anything around me that's happening in particular that's like worth noting that it's happened before. I think it usually happens probably after I've written a bunch of songs, and so my brain is wanting to occupy a different part of it, but it's obviously still sort of creation. Looking back, I think that's what I've noticed. The brain is sort of empty for the time being of like writing a song. Like after I finish this new album, I mean, usually after I finish an album recorded, I don't write for a little bit.
Oh, why not?
Because I think I'm just sort of like, I just emptied my brain on that.
Yeah.
And I put everything I had into that. So, but I think it's good to take a small break. I think it's like anything else. If you're a basketball player, you have to practice.
Yeah.
If you're a guitar player, you have to practice. Same as a writer. I think you still have to, stay on the court.
Yeah. I think it was when I interviewed John Oates from Hall & Oates a couple of years ago. He told me he got a song idea. He was in the Denver airport, and there was two women having a conversation at the dinner table next to him, and he heard a line and said, "That's going in a song," and it became a song. I think the song title. Does that ever happen to you? I mean, I guess maybe rephrasing that, outside of music, are there certain things, and it could be things that people hear or something like, or some things that people say, is there certain things outside of music that do tend to inspire you?
Certainly, yeah. I mean, I think about, it's usually not the title of a song, but it'll be lines they'll put in the song, like something maybe my dad had said, or just a moment that happened, and I know a lot of writers experience that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just good. I think if you're using anything that's happened in your real life, the chances are better that somebody's going to connect with it when they hear the song.
Yeah.
Because we're not really all that different,
Right.
So like that's why, if you're a Jerry Seinfeld fan, which it's hard to deny he's funny, but I mean, it's hard to, I mean, all the things he talks about are really like just everyday occurrences.
Exactly.
That's funny to us,
Yeah.
So I think as a writer, I think it's a good, as part of your job, I think you have to look for those things that are happening around you.
Yeah.
To you.
See, now I want you to hear, you just said as a writer. So you do think of yourself as a writer. So you just said it. So we're gonna look back on this recording. You just referred to yourself as one. So you may not see. So we're getting, this is like a therapy session, by the way. So already we're getting somewhere. It's the breakthrough.
Well, I think I've looked, you know, part of that is something that I've just, I guess I've done it to myself. I've conditioned myself because I've never really made a living as a songwriter.
Right. Yeah, sure.
I've had it hammered in my, you're a guitar player, you
Right.
know, but I've written songs since I was 15.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I've conditioned myself to not think of me that way, you know.
Right. The role of motion, I've heard a lot of songwriters talk about how when they're on the bus and staring out the window, or in a van, or in a car, on a plane, on a train, that tends to, whatever it is, I don't know if it's the things they see, but the role of motion, you know, plays an important part. You ever thought about that? Like, do you ever notice that, you know, as you're staring out the window on the bus or anything like that, those ideas come to you?
A little bit. I have a really hard time riding on the road, man. I'm awful at it. Just terrible.
Why?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do it. They're like, I got to get on the road. I can write and all that stuff. I think I write better when I'm at my house and I'm in the room that I'm in now.
Yeah.
And usually at night it occurs when I'm just feeling like I've got nothing needs to be done. There's no dishes in the sink. There's like, things are pretty cleaned up around me, and I can sort of just, I can be chilled out, and I'm just in my own. I'm not really thinking about anything, and I'm just kind of sitting down with a guitar, not to try and write a song, but just because I'm sitting with a guitar. And I noticed that for me, that's when I write a lot of things that end up being songs. Yeah.
I laugh only because dishes in the sink is not a very rock and roll thing to say. I feel like that's, I mean, that's, you know, that's not the domestic element of it, but.
Well, I'm a rock star trapped in a domestic, you know, body. I mean, that's it.
Right.
You know, people knew my everyday. I mean, it would be pretty funny probably. But,
so let's talk about that ritual, because I'm very interested in how songwriters, you know, in the ritual of the writing process itself. So, you know, it sounds like you write better at night, but is there, you know, and you said you like that room. Are there certain things you have to have with you? Like, for me, at least, I think as a writer, there are certain places I need to be, maybe a certain pen, because that gives me confidence. Like, I know that if I have those things, and it's probably total BS, but at least something inside is telling me, oh, I have a greater chance of success because I'm in that right place. Do you ever think about that? Like, how important is that to you?
It's funny, like, what our brains commit to. You know, like, I've got to have my pen. I've got to have, you know, like, I guess I know that the comfort of my room seems to work a lot, but I've been asked before on this process, and my answer is always the same. I get it however I can get it.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that it just happens when it happens, kind of. Not that I don't, usually, let me back up. Usually the idea will enter, and then I will start to craft a bit of an outline. Then things get kind of filed away for a little bit. And I don't know if that's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's later where I clock in and finish the job. So I don't clock in and go, I'm going to write a song today. Yeah. Usually when I'm clocking in on something that is already sitting there, and it's unfinished.
Yeah.
So that is more of like, when I do that, I like to be in my element. You know, when I do the clock in bit.
Yeah.
Before that, it's kind of like, oh, here it comes. So like, I better jot it down. Like I just have to jot it down or get it down somehow.
Yeah, I think that's what most songwriters tell me, that when you sit down, they rarely sit down with the express idea of writing a song. It's never, yeah.
The mental barrier there for me personally.
Yeah.
When I get up and I'm going to write a song today.
Right.
That's so much pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah. So if I get this straight then, so the idea comes, you write an outline. So when you mean outline, do you mean, what does that outline look like?
It's usually a musical outline.
Okay.
More of a mood.
Okay.
And then, I mean, I'm notorious for getting a verse and a chorus and then filing it away.
Yeah.
And I know that I sometimes I just go, okay, I'm going to finish this thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I go, okay, I'm going to step away from it. Like, that's a great start. Like, I can memorize that.
Yeah.
Come back to it. But I've heard Robert O'Keefe say the key to writing a song is staying in the chair.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think, again, I go back to the idea of confidence. You think that works for you, and it does. And so, to me, at least, that would give some sense of comfort. But I think also, as a writer, and when I was teaching, I would tell my students, your writing process takes place when you're eating, when you're walking, when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
It's not just when you're writing. So even if you write that outline, you set it aside, that gap between setting it aside and coming back to it, something's still going on there, right?
Yeah, and I think that, that works for Robert O'Keefe and that works for other writers. But for me, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like if I come up with something good that I think's good and I try to chase it down immediately, like I might be missing out on something that could happen in my life.
Yeah.
It could end up being forced in a way instead of like, okay, well, let's put that down for a minute. Let me experience some more life.
Yeah. Hemingway said that he'd always stop writing for the night when he knew he had something else to say, because he was terrified of starting the next day with nothing in the well. So he always ended when he knew he had something, there was still something left in the tank, which I think I could never do that, but I think that's tremendous discipline to say, I'm going to stop for the night, so that he loved the idea of knowing that he could start the next day still with something to say.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could do that. That takes some tremendous discipline, I think, to say, yeah, I'm going to stop. But how long do you wait? I mean, is it a day? Is it a half day? How do you know when to return to it, I guess?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think it just depends on my, I think, mental capacity, my mood, inspiration, and I know that saying, whatever the saying is, some folks wait on inspiration, others get to work, whatever. But
yeah.
I do believe in kind of waiting for that moment where you're feeling inspired, just to, not to finish the song, but usually when I'm feeling inspired, I'm just feeling inspired to pick up the guitar and like create and just like have fun. And I kind of wait for that moment. And then if I don't have anything like somebody's record I'm playing on or something I'm trying to finish, do other than finishing a song, I'll usually sit down and finish it. Like I've got 2 or 3 things right now. They're just waiting. They're sitting there waiting. And, I just know that I'll get to them, and that I'll have to clock in. I'll have to bear down on it and finish it.
Yeah. So you're comfortable. You're okay. That's impressive. I think that would give me a lot of anxiety knowing that they're there. I'm just wondering when it's going to happen, but that takes a lot of, I think, confidence.
Yeah. I mean, they don't give me anxiety, but like every day I think about the 2 or 3 things I have right now. Yeah. And they're back there, like, we're back here waiting, you know, they're just like nagging.
Right.
And I'm like, I'll get to you in a minute, you know.
Yeah, right. Well, it's funny because I just actually interviewed Chuck Prophet about an hour ago, and
Cool.
we had a fantastic talk, and I feel like I told him the same story too, but I think it was Don Henley interviewed not too long ago, and he said he was amazed how many songs came to him when he was unloading the dishwasher or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess the idea behind that is how ideas come to you when you're not expecting them, when you're bored. Does that often happen with you?
I'm the shower guy.
Yeah.
It's always something when I'm having a walk or unloading the dishwasher or when I'm in the shower. The shower. Yeah. I don't know why.
Go ahead.
I don't know why.
I've heard shower. I've heard gardening. A lot of people get in my gardening. Cooking, you know, and I was exploring this with someone last week. I know it was Nicole Atkins, I think. I interviewed her, and I think we were talking about, I suggested maybe it was the rhythm, you know, the cadence of something that you're doing. Maybe it's the rhythm of the shower of the water, or when you're, you know, I don't know. Is it really the boredom, or is it some beat in the background that's kind of getting, you know, subconsciously getting in there?
Well, here's what I think about that. For me personally, cooking, I'm concentrating too much on cooking because I really like cooking.
Okay.
Like I really enjoy it and I really want to be good.
Yeah.
It is relaxing. I'm not stressed out when I'm cooking. I'm concentrating. Like, so my brain is occupied there. I think when I'm showering, like, there's nothing you know, my brain is kind of like free. I don't have to think about anything. I'm not like concentrating on how I'm putting the shampoo in my hand and all that, you know. It's just, I also think water plays an important role in music, and you know, you can put water near any major like musical trend or melting pot of music, like rivers, lakes, oceans, you know, all like music towns and stuff have water near them. And I grew up on the coast, so maybe that has something to do with it when I'm in the shower with water present. Because when I'm swimming in the ocean, I come up with song ideas.
Oh, really? Okay.
All the time.
Yeah.
I don't have an ocean near me anymore, but when I go back home and I swim in the ocean, tons of ideas and inspiration into my brain. So with me, it's probably something to do with water.
Yeah. I've heard that from a few people, but I feel like that's in relation to, again, the cadence of the waves.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Something to do with the rhythm.
Yeah. Wait, so where did you grow up then?
I grew up in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
But, you know, but in Irish literature, water plays a really big part because it, you know, it's an island, of course. And so that's a big outsized element of that type of literature. So that doesn't seem to be quite a stretch. I don't know. That maybe is, you know, whether it's the sounds or whether it's just the calm, whether it's the return to, I don't know. I mean, you can go on about this, you know, whether it's the nostalgia element, you know, that you feel, you know, you grew up feeling comfortable next to water. And so, yeah, I mean, may not, you know, maybe it's just an element of feeling comfortable with that. So.
I think I'm not distracted when I'm in the shower by anything. Yeah. There's nothing going on.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's just you're just in a shower. I know it's a weird thing to get inspired, but like.
Well, okay. So here's the test then. Next time you gotta stand in the shower, but don't turn the water on. And then we'll know if it's the water or if it's just the place, right?
Ooh, okay.
So maybe we'll have to update that, or you'll let me know, because I feel like that's going to be the test. Stand in the shower, but don't turn the water on for 15 minutes, and then we'll know. That's the X factor for sure.
I think it's both. Yeah, I think it's. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining it now, and I think I would still probably, you know, there's a door, and it's like you're just.
That's it. Nothing else
Yeah.
to do.
So my brain is like, I guess I just have to imprison myself to come up with ideas because.
Yes. Yeah. So you mentioned emotion. I think when you're in the right emotion, is there an ideal emotion when you do tend to get your best writing done?
Um, I really don't. I'm not a dark song writer.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
It doesn't. Yeah. You don't strike me as one.
And that's okay because, I mean, hell, I work for a guy who writes like pretty sad songs.
Right.
A lot of them do. There are redemptive qualities to some of them.
Yeah.
I am just constantly I got to have some kind of hopefulness to every song or something. There's just that element to pretty much like every one of my songs.
Yeah.
So
So is it hard to write from a place of, I don't know, sadness, melancholy, stuff like that? Is that a hard
no,
to write from?
it's not. I don't know that I find it hard to write from that place, but I find it hard to let it live there and end there.
Okay.
Because I went. Everybody goes through hard stuff. I mean, I lost my dad when I was 18. Lost my mom to cancer on my 21st birthday. I lost my dad partly due to alcoholism. We had real hard financial times and living situation time. So I got plenty of stuff to pull from of like addiction or
right, sure.
the men coming in the driveway and repoing the car and having to live in a house that the church provided for us, and my dad waking up with like morphine dreams in the middle of the night. I mean, there's a large well of stuff to pull from if I need to start somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't tend to live there. I might start there, but I will pull something out of I'll pull the hope out of it.
Yeah. When you set those songs aside for later on, is there, or I guess when things aren't working, you find you're getting to a rut with the song, do you try to push through, or do you set it aside and say, I'll come back to it in days, weeks, months, whatever?
Yeah, it's usually, well, it's kind of I'm putting it off. I'm putting off the inevitable. I know I have to finish them because they're good ideas.
Yeah.
But I think I usually just usually I'll know it when I wake up in the morning. I just feel inspired.
Yeah.
And usually that's when I know I got to sit down and finish the things that are, on hold.
Yeah. I guess, is there a point at which you go, yeah, the song's not going to make it, it's not worth pursuing anymore.
Okay. I see what you're asking.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got, there is. I mean, I think it's just probably other songwriters would agree with me. You just kind of know when, I don't know, that was, I've had that for way too long.
Yeah.
Well, if I haven't finished it by this point, there's probably not a lot there.
Yeah.
Not saying that I can't pull a really old idea and finish it out, but I mean, I've got so many bits of that I don't know if they'll ever get finished. And to me, which ones are like the 2 or 3 that I have now that are nagging me. Like I think they're good, so they're worth finishing.
Yeah.
The other things that are still sitting there unfinished are like, oh well, maybe there's something there. But I've got a song called "The Real Thing" that I've had for like 2 or 3 years, and I know one day I'm gonna I'm just waiting for that thing that I have to find to make it all. I call it my sword. I'm still like waiting to pull the sword, out of the stone and be like, all right, I've got it.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
And you don't know what that thing is then. It's just, you're going to know it. You know it when you see it, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm constantly kind of working on it.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of just waiting for that one. I know that it'll appear to me, it will or it won't.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Couple more questions. The one I could do an entire website dedicated only to the types of pens and pencils that songwriters like to use and the types of you may not be amazed. I am always amazed at how particular they are about color of ink, even the type of pen. I've interviewed people who only buy paper from a certain place, a certain color. So I guess the question is, are your lyrics, are you a computer or a pen and paper person when it comes to lyrics?
I don't, things will start on a computer or notes on my iPhone. But I like analog.
Okay.
I don't have a preferred ink. I do like composition book to write in.
Wait, show me the book, because the book just came. Yeah. Okay. There it is. Perfect. Okay. And so why do you call? Yeah. Why is it the decomposition book?
It's because it's post-consumer waste recycling.
Okay. I thought it was a much more, I don't know. I thought there was a much deeper metaphor there. It's literal decom. Okay. All right. So the pens, and that doesn't matter. It's just, you're pretty flexible.
No, yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I imagine I know the answer to this question, but as a guitarist, as a guitarist also, songs probably typically start with the music for you, right? Do they ever start with the lyrics?
Yeah, sometimes they do. And like I said, I take it however I can get it, like if it starts on the guitar, great. Sometimes it does start with a line or two and a melody.
Okay.
And then I'll sit down and go, okay, what key is this in? Or what are the chords underneath? That's certainly happened plenty before.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But then again, a lot of the time, I'm sitting there playing a riff and, try to put some words around it.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite? I just asked Chuck's the same question before you, but is there a favorite line or maybe a pair of lines that you have that you've written that you just think, that's pretty good. I really like that. Anything come to mind? Do you have any favorites?
Yeah, my song Good Man on the new record, I did work really hard on that song to try to make it come across the right way without sacrificing what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But I guess my favorite lines of that song are through the clouds I see clear water for all our future daughters. And what do I say? Man, I'm bad. I'm muscle memory, all muscle memory.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Through the clouds I see clear water for all our future daughters. And I ain't giving up the war, and I know what side I'm for. I want to be a good man. So those lines to me were like, I thought I did really good.
Yeah. Why do you like it? Just the image or the kind of the message?
Yeah, I like the imagery of like seeing a bright future is like through the clouds I see clear water. I don't know. I liked that.
Yeah.
It also kind of puts you in the air, Yeah,
it does. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Was that the easiest song on the album to write? Is there a song on the album that stood out as being the easiest one that just came the fastest?
Yeah, the second song on the record, Don't Worry.
Okay.
And that was like one of those 30-minute.
Oh, it was.
9:30 at night, just rolling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just coming out. Don't stop. Don't worry and don't stop.
Right. Get out of your way, right? What was the hardest? Any song on the album stand out as being one that was the biggest challenge? Maybe one you might even want to give up on it, but did one stand out as being really most difficult?
Let me think. Probably Good Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably Good Man. Because it started off so easily. It's like looking at my guitar and I want the song to shout is like the first lyric.
Yeah.
And so that puts you in a completely different place from where the song sort of goes and ends up. But I thought that was cool. I thought it was like very, almost like a Pete Townsend kind of thing, you know, where, and then the writer's like sitting there sort of looking at his life and his perception of the world around him.
Yeah. Yeah.
By simplicity of where it starts.
Right.
So then I had the first verse. So second verse was the hard one to write. It was like, okay, well, you've created the scene there, and we know what this person, what they're seeing and what they're thinking. Now, sort of, I had to tie in the bigger picture.
Yeah, and that was the struggle, is kind of getting those lyrics right.
To me, yeah. Because lyrics are, well, you know, they should be hard, because if they weren't hard, then everybody, you know, would do it, and a lot of people try, you know. So that is the hardest part for me. Melodies and music and things like that, and having the basis of a song are the easy parts. Like sort of second verse always kicks my ass, you know, because I like the first one comes a lot easier, and I get to the chorus. Sometimes I work on that chorus first.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean that one was hard for sure.
Yeah.
Getting lyrics done.
Yeah. Well, speaking of lyrics, how much reading do you get to do? I do find that songwriters, for the most part, pretty voracious readers. Do you do a lot of reading? Get to do any reading, either at home or on tour?
I do some reading. I like to, my wife always gives me shit because I read a lot of rock books and stuff.
Yeah.
But the reason I like those, you know, and I'm like, look, I'm still reading, you know. She's like, you need to read something. And I'm like, well, I like these books because if you have a book, that means you've lived sort of quite the life, and you've probably had a lot of ups and downs and a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So I like those books because they have like an arc to them. There's like starting out scrappy and you know, figuring life out, and then your wildest dreams come true, and then you sort of come down on the other side of the mountain, and then sometimes go all the way back up to the top again. So I like books like that. I just read The Alchemist, though. I like that book a lot.
Oh yeah, I've heard that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not much for like huge books like The Alchemist. I like to be able to kind of. I don't have ADD or anything, but I just like to be able to, you know, read something in a week or something like that. You know.
Yeah. So what rock bios stand out? What are your favorite rock books?
Oh man, Greg Allman's book.
I haven't read that one. Oh yeah.
Really good. I mean, I really liked, and he's not like my favorite. I mean, I'm a big fan of him. He's not like my all-time favorite, but Eric Clapton's autobiography.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Really tough too to read. I mean, it's a heavy book. But talk about someone who did just that. Went to the top of the mountain, jumped off the top of the mountain, and then slowly climbed back up.
Yeah.
Pretty wild ride.
Yeah. So what would your wife wish you to read then? What books is she pushing on you then? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, just anything that's, you know, not nonfiction, rock and roll stuff. But like she wants me to read like The Prince of Tides, which I'm like, I don't know. We're from, South Carolina.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
She's like, you never read The Prince of Tides? But there was a book. There was a book called Rule of the Bone. That what's the writer's name? I liked a lot. He also wrote it's called like The Sweet Hereafter.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't remember the
Yeah, no worries.
Great, I like his writing a lot.
Yeah.
Let me look it up because I can't remember.
I think it's funny that she's telling you, don't read those rock books. That's not good. You got to read the quality stuff. I feel like some of them have gotten, have gotten more favorable press than others, like those, because I've read Clapton's. I feel like people said that was a pretty good quality piece of writing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. And Keith Richards, I have not read that one, but I think that one's supposed to be. I feel like people said that was pretty well written.
I haven't, and man, I feel like and I love Keith Richards. I feel like I've started it like 2 or 3 times, and I think I just got kind of bored.
Yeah. I'm more interested I like those books too, but I really like the ones that tend to talk about time periods, like the ones about the Laurel Canyon scene in the 70s.
Yeah.
That kind of encompass a whole cast of characters. So you read about Neil Young, you read about Linda Ronstadt, you read about Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Yes.
Because I'm interested in the interplay of all of those.
I love that stuff too, and like documentaries.
So thanks for checking out the Sadler Vaden interview. Just a quick note on the end. We had some audio and visual problems and things froze and it got a little kind of jumbled. So rather than let you see that, I decided to end it right there. So that's why you have that kind of trail off without any context. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Check out the new album. It is great. And also check out the website, Songwriters on Process, for more interviews. And check back next week for a new video.